Hello, everyone. We have some very, very important news coming from Ukrainian source Kyiv Post. This is the best summary on the subject I was able to find so far. I'm treating this as a developing story. Hopefully, we'll hear more. So, what is this all about? We've spoken many times about Hungary being very, very pro Russia. And one of the issues this whole time has been, even as Hungary went more and more autocratic, even as it descended more and more into Orban's dictatorship, there appeared to be no consequences. It still remained a member of the European Union. It was not in any way penalized in the UN. And at the time, I pointed out, what reason do they have to change their policy if there are no consequences? Well, apparently I wasn't the only one thinking that way. So more and more of the EU members are starting to speak up about this. One of these people is Estonian foreign minister, who said that Hungary is on Putin's team and that the fact that Hungary supports Putin compromises overall EU effort, because you never know when they might turn traitor. And that is a valid concern, because we have seen this in the overall history of conflict in Ukraine, during which, for example, the separatists in the Ukrainian eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk, instead of following a legal process to request separation, seceding from Ukraine, or instead of immigrating to Russia, which they apparently prefer, invited Russian militants into Ukrainian territory and thus compromised their entire country. So the concern here is that Hungary might do the same thing. Last week, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that it's unacceptable that EU cannot count on Budapest. And this was in the conversation with Emmanuel Macron of France, that if we're going to do this, we're going to have to present a united front. We cannot have a weak link. Estonian minister that I just mentioned, Margaret Tsahkna, said that Europe overall was not split over Ukraine, but Hungary was isolated. But as far as I'm concerned, that is just as bad. So we have Hungary right now, and we have the rest of Europe. Now, there are some other smaller countries who also are pro-Russian, but not to the same extent. They have not yet fully descended into the same autocratic hole as Hungary has. And this is where we see the crux of the matter. Estonian foreign minister added that perhaps Hungary should be stripped of its voting rights in the EU. Yes, it shouldn't even be getting closer. It should have been done a long time ago. Apparently, there is an article in the European Union Treaty that covers that possibility of withdrawing a member state's voting rights if their membership endangered the security of Europe. And that is precisely the situation. So whether European Union will invoke Article 7 against Hungary is unknown, but I hope they do, because that is a tremendous risk. And here's another thing, and that annoys the shit out of me on a personal level, is that Ukraine, who had suffered so much and given up so much and subjected itself to bullying from Russia for so long, has been trying to get into the European Union. There is no question that Ukraine supports the EU's ideals and principles, is trying to get there, and they didn't get a spot. So I'm like, you know what, if you're gonna kick out Hungary, I'm just saying, there is at least one country we all know about that will be happy to take that place. From Kyiv Independent. Well, it wouldn't be a day without Donald Trump saying something shitty. I don't like the bombing. Really, Donald? Really, Donald? Really? Imagine how much people of Ukraine at whom that bombing is targeted don't like the bombing. Imagine how much my parents don't like the bombing. Trump keeps, again, following the classic definition of insanity and expecting, to be taken seriously. The classic definition of insanity being doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. He continues reiterating the need for a ceasefire. Do you not see that this is not possible? He says they're talking to Russia. He says they would like them to stop. Sweetie, wake up. Wake up and smell your diapers. Just telling Russia that you would like them to stop is going to do precisely nothing. It doesn't work. Yes, you don't like the bombing. You know what? I think you should go visit Ukraine and find out for yourself what it actually feels like. What it's like for Ukrainian people. Because to them, it's not just something happens occasionally. This is day in, day out. It has been like that for months, literally. And this is where I agree with Zelensky, who basically pointed out that, first of all, the response from the U.S. should be decisive and definitive. Second, he once again pointed out that Putin does not want to end the war. He's just stalling for time. He is just rearming. He is just repopulating his army. And here's where he brought up again something I've been mentioning before, that the forms of pressure on Russia should be not only extensive but varying. This entire time since the annexation of Crimea, I've been saying sanctions by themselves do not work. Russia does not respond to sanctions. And diplomacy by itself does not work. What would work on Russia potentially is a three-pronged approach: diplomacy, sanctions, and military pressure. And both of them have to be implemented ASAP and applied until there is a result. Promising a result, saying what do I get out of that, is not something that should be considered in this case. Russia is the aggressor. Russia invaded Ukraine. That is the premise. And again, there's already tons of articles written on why saying, well, Russia did it because it felt endangered by NATO. It's a falsehood. It was just an excuse. Go look that up. You can read all about it. People have written about it. That is a bullshit excuse. The point is that at the time Russian tanks rolled over Ukrainian border, not a single shot has been fired at Russia. So, any and all forms of pressure on Russia should come from that premise. Finally, I'd like to wrap up for today with this piece. This is from National Review. They published an excellent collection of very evocative images and thought-provoking images from Ukraine. They don't just include the soldiers, although there are plenty of images from the front line. They also include the photographs of Ukrainian cities, Ukrainian civilians, Ukrainian children. Again, look at these pictures and you tell me who would do all of that to a bunch of civilians because they had a problem with NATO.